Hello and welcome to SPSS part 4 from question 6. So here we're going to look at some other numeric variables in the data set. So numeric variables are really these, so possibly you could include views on the environment as well, that's a number. And also visitors, energy, water. So which of these do you think there could be a difference in between the ones that have got eco-licenses and the ones that haven't? The ones that seem likely are things like energy use, water use, we've done nutrition, maybe income. So you could try all these. So could it be, for example, that eco-license they should be using less energy per person per holiday, you'd hope. So you could do a test on that. So then, to do it properly, you should write down well, first of all, you should explore it. Just look at the descriptives for that. So let's just take out nutrition. In fact, okay, well, you could do a whole lot at once. Let's just do it one by one. So you could put lots in this box and see all the comparisons, but I'll just do one by one. I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm doing a test already. I want to do the explore. So instead of nutrition, let's just have a look at energy use. So that's like energy use. Energy per person, standard license is 15. I'm not sure what the units are. 15 kilojoules per person, I don't know. That's a bit surprising. It's more in the ecotourism license, according to the mean and the median. Very surprising. So eco-license firms using more energy. It's a bit weird. Okay. Well, yeah, but a kind of strange, much less spread. So what you could do is try and see the test. See, does that difference apply in the whole population? Because this is just the 60 we have in our sample. So I'm just going to do a t-test to see, does that hold outside the sample? Here you should then write down your null hypothesis. Null hypothesis is going to be that the mean energy use per person per holiday, which is putting in here, is the same as it is for eco-license and non-eco-license firms. The alternative is mean energy use per person per holiday is different between the two types of firm. But let's find out what the t-test thinks of that null hypothesis. There's the two means. Yeah, okay. And you can see that whichever row you use, the sig is quite a large value, so it's quite a high probability that we can. So there's quite a high probability we can get this difference just by chance. So strictly speaking, because this is a very small number here, we'd use the bottom row, so we'd be using this 0.436. What that's telling us is we're using the version of this test which does not assume that the spread is the same in each group. And looking at this, we can see the spread is much, much bigger in the standard group compared to the ecotourism group. So that seems sensible. So we use the bottom row, but 0.436 is 43%. So that's saying if the null hypothesis is true, the chance of getting this bigger difference between the means for each group is 43.6%, which is really high. So the null hypothesis is quite compatible with this data. No reason to reject the null hypothesis at all. So I'd stick with that null hypothesis. So there doesn't seem to be any evidence that ecotourism licenses are associated with different energy use, which is kind of surprising. Okay, what else would be possible? Energy use, water use. You'd imagine that eco-license, again, they'd use less water, but then I thought they'd use less energy. I was wrong there. Let's just look at the water use, see if there's more sign of that actually are ecological with that. So mean water use 692 litres per person per holiday, 484. Okay, well, that's quite a big difference. 692 for water in the standard firms and way less, 484. Yeah, much lower median as well. So it does seem to be. Oh yeah, it's quite a striking example there. So certainly in the sample of 60, ecotourism licenses are using a lot less water per person per holiday. But that could just be random for the way we've done the sample. So the t-test is going to tell us, does this give evidence that in the whole population of all the firms, ones with ecotourism license and standard license are using different amounts of water? So we need to hit a t-test, having written down null hypothesis. Null hypothesis would be the mean water use per person is the same in eco-license firms and non-eco-license firms. Alternative is mean water use per person per holiday is different in the two types of firm. Put that into the t-test, press go, and there's the two values. You can see the difference there. 6 called moderate, so you could use either row really. Yeah, really, we should be using the top row. So it's, yeah, this is a very borderline result, because there's some. That's really difficult to conclude from in this sample. It'd be interesting to see if you do your own samples if you get a similar thing. Because if we use the bottom row, then we definitely reject the null hypothesis. If you're using the top row, then it's not quite 5%. So it's marginal at 5%. So at 5%, it's a marginal decision. It's quite a low probability. So if the null hypothesis is true, mean water use is the same between the two types of firm, then it's borderline whether we reject it or not, because it's quite unlikely at either 0.787% or 0.8%, depending on what assumptions you make. So the conclusion of this big, but there's a borderline rejection. There's some reason, well, at least weak, at least moderate evidence here. There's at least some moderate or puzzling evidence to suggest that there's a difference in water use between the firms who do and don't have eco-tourism licenses. That's what we conclude from that. Okay. Are there any other things that might vary between eco and non-eco? Whole price visitors, energy, water, nutrition, income. Well, perhaps let's see if they pay any different amounts of money. And what I'll do here, actually, let's do a roundup to show you kind of lazy way of doing it, which is a bit naughty because it's kind of data mining. What you should really do is logically think, where do you expect to find differences? But you can just be lazy by using the explore command and really putting basically everything you can grab hold of, except for the ones you've already done, into there. So we've already done water, so I'll get rid of that. Index name, that's meaningless. No point doing type management. But let's keep the views one in. So views in the environment, holiday price done already, visitors done already, energy done already, nutrition done already. Okay, no problem. So views, income per capita, biological impact. Okay, biodiversity impact. There should be a difference there. Let's see. So explore can tell us if there's any difference in any of these in the sample. And then we can just eyeball the box plots first of all. So the first one it's done, it says views, income PC. Yeah, views a bit of a difference. Gosh. But it seems to suggest that standard license is higher than non-standard license. What is that? Let's look at the definition of the views thing. Much more effectively. Okay, that's completely counterintuitive. So it's suggesting that the ones where there's eco-license are not as effective at managing the environment as where there is eco-license. Fine. The income per capita is, income per capita is 73 with standard license and 38 is twice as much. Again, causality can go each way. Does that mean that they don't make much money out of ecotourism, or that ecotourism is deliberately focusing on poorer areas? And the biological impact is 48. Seems to be slightly higher impact. Yeah, slightly higher impact from standard license than from eco, which could be good. And nutrition 1997, one slightly higher in the standard license areas. And again, don't know which way the causality goes. So just as you can be lazy with the explore, you can be lazy with the t-test as well, because we can just do the same thing and put everything in there, which was views. Let's get rid of visitors. Views, nutrition, income per capita, bio impact, and there was another one as well. Nutrition off. Yeah. So I'll just do 4 t-tests at once. There's the 4 t-tests. We can see if there's any significant results there. The first one, looking at differences in views, now that comes out as not significant, they're quite high values, so you couldn't reject the null hypothesis here. Here's one where you could. So, looking at income per capita, if you make the null hypothesis that mean income per capita is the same in ecotourism and standard areas, then if that's the case, the chance of getting a difference as big as the one we got is low. And here that's quite high, so we'd use the top one, so it's 0.035. So it's only 3.5% of getting this randomly if the null hypothesis is true. So I'd want to reject the null hypothesis at the 5% significance level. So the conclusion there is there's fairly strong evidence, pretty strong evidence that there's a difference in the income per capita, mean income per capita, in the population between those two categories of firms. Okay, biological impacts, quite borderline, suggestive, because this low number here suggests we use the Wasson norm. That's still not 5%. So suggestive evidence, not very strong. Bottom one again, nutrition. Nutrition outside the peak holiday season. Doesn't matter which row you use. You should use the top one, but exactly the same number, 0.032. That's really low probability. So again, if a null hypothesis is that nutrition is the same in the population, the chance of getting a sample with the difference this big is 3.2%, which is less than 5%. So again, I reject that at the 5% significance level. I conclude that there is quite strong evidence here that there is a difference between nutrition in the off-peak season between those two firm types. Okay, so we'll go on to some different types of comparison in the next video because this is already 11 minutes. So thank you for watching.